Each time I walk past my wife, she seems to be panicked. I was always so confused. Each time I asked her why she was so afraid, she slowly walks away, panic in her eyes. Why is she afraid of me? Maybe it's because I'm ugly. I already forgave her for making my death look like a suicide. Each morning when I wake up, I open the chest where I keep my son. I stroke his small skull and murmur, "Good morning," although I know he can no longer hear me. I hope he doesn't think I've abandoned him. I hope he knows I never will. When my son died of a fever, I refused to let him go. He was only a baby and all that I had left. So, I turned to the stories my own mother had told me, the rituals and legends I'd learned in childhood. The rules of bringing someone back from the underworld seemed so easy. I scoffed at the stories of those who failed, sure that my willpower would be stronger than theirs. I forced my way through to the fields of night, and I found my son's faint, pale soul. I guided it all the way back to his body, never looking back once. When I saw my son open his eyes again and smile at me, I thought I had made the right choice. He laughed, he ran, he played just as he had before. I even believed I could pretend nothing had happened. Then, a few days later, I saw the rot creeping up his skin. At that moment, I realized my mistake. I hadn't restored my son to life. I had only brought his soul back to his corpse. I tried to comfort him as his body swelled and decayed. He wailed day and night in fear as his flesh fell from his bones. Only when his throat rotted away did he stop screaming. I attempted to return to the underworld, to return my son's soul, but the way would not open to me again. I cheated death, and my punishment was to keep what I stole. When his ligaments finally broke down, I gathered his bones and placed them in the antique chest I inherited from my mother. Only the best would do for my son. Sometimes my son's bones lie still inside the chest for hours, even days, and I dare to hope that his soul found its way back to where it belongs. But sooner or later, his bones always begin to rattle again, and I know he's still alive. Once, all I wanted was to have my son here with me. But now, I would give anything for him to die. When I was 4 years old, my brother disappeared. They said I was in shock after it happened. I was the only witness, and the stress had twisted up my brain like a rag and drained all the memory out. They were wrong about me. My memory was sharp, and I was telling the truth. The adults spoke in whispers about the changes in me, how I refused to take baths and jumped when the pipes creaked in the walls. When the rain came and the water rose up in the ditches and inched toward our doorway, I put a sleeping bag on my tallest dresser and slept there. I had tried to tell them how the air had smelled like rot and the water became cloudy in the bathtub, how James had opened the drain to let out the dusty water and make room for fresher stuff. I was standing on the bath mat in my pajamas, tasked with holding the rowboat and Rubber Ducky while he went about the changing of the water. Then the black tendrils rose from the drain. We watched them with curiosity, not fear. They moved like the octopi at the aquarium, but seemed more flexible, less solid. James reached down to touch one, to pull whatever it was out of the drain. The black wisp met his fingers and encircled them. It climbed around his wrist as a second tendril wrapped around his left ankle. Then the tendrils pulled. I couldn't have fit the Rubber Ducky down that drain if I had tried, but somehow those tendrils pulled James right down with them, squeezing him through like it was nothing at all. His bones crunched to dust inside his body. His skin tore and his muscles resisted, but the tendrils steadily brought every last tooth and drop of blood down the drain. I've told my parents this story so many times, but they never believed me. They even still live in that house, afraid to move. Sure, there is still a chance that James will return, and will do so faster if he doesn't have to locate a new residence. I gave up trying. Losing my brother was hard enough, but having everyone decide I'd lost my mind was another thing entirely. I stopped talking about it when I was 15 and moved out of that house as soon as I legally could. My mom called today. She mentioned a strange smell in the house, said the pipes were putting out cloudy water, and asked if my husband would come check them out. I thought about warning them one last time, but I know they won't believe me. Some things you just have to see for yourself. Thank you everyone for watching today. If you have any suggestions, please send them to the email address in the description below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for similar content. I also highly recommend checking out my Twitch account, xsleepybadgerx, for weekly live streams. Also, follow my Discord. The link can be found in the description below. It keeps you up to date, and it's a great way for me to interact with you guys. Till next time, stay sleepy.